think I know everybody here.
You know Pauline?
I know Pauline.
There you go. Devin? Maybe Devin?
No, I don't know Devin. Hello, my name is Alan.
You know, instead of introducing everybody to her, how about you get her introduced to her? She's the new one, everybody else.
Okay.
We'll have you, and yes, we have time, so you might.
I might go a little over time. Stop me. Stop me.
Like myself. Because I guess we have enough time for it. We have Pauline now, and we have Margot and Devin at the end, so.
Okay. So I used to write short stories. I write poetry now mostly, and I used to write short stories almost exclusively. And this was one of my first publications in this magazine called Thought Magazine, published in the States. It doesn't exist anymore. It was only existed for maybe a year or two, a few issues. So this is called Thought Enlarged, and from 2002. And so the story I got published in there is called The Feet Lady. Let's see. Get comfortable here. Once there was a woman named Hanami, and she was known all through the dirty and downtown as the Feet Lady. She sat on a low stool in the dark entrance to the local drop-in center and washed the feet of the women who worked the streets and alleys of the town. They came to her each day after their legs and their bodies got weary, and sometimes even before. She was very busy, but the women always enjoyed her smile and the careful attentions of her hands. Always, too, the women were able to let down their guard and become their free and open selves with the Feet Lady. She would listen to whatever they had to say, and they knew she really was listening, because she would ask the kind of questions that made them feel she understood their secrets and their dreams. She asked about hopes and possibilities, not in a pie and sky sort of way, but in a tomorrow and the next day sort of way. And if she spoke about herself, it was only to show how much she was just like them. About once or twice a month, a new woman would arrive, and on one such month, the newcomer was Rose. Rose was very young. No one knew how young, and no one asked, because it was the usual way in her profession to start young. As with others like her, she was experienced beyond her years. She rarely smiled, and with her pale face and stringy blonde hair, she looked as though she'd been on the streets a long time. She no longer felt herself to be scared of anything, and knew how to protect herself with a natural suspicion of whomever she met. "I am your lady in waiting," the Feet Lady said to Rose for the first time. "Here, sit down. Would you like me to wash your feet?" Although the Feet Lady had a sweet, kind voice, Rose was wary and didn't answer right away. She waited to see if the Feet Lady would ask again, but the Feet Lady only swished the basin water lightly with a cloth and hummed a tune. To Rose, the tune was sweet and familiar, a melody from school days of long ago. "You do this for nothing, I heard," Rose said eventually. "Nothing but love, dear. Are your feet achy?" "Nothing, eh? Oh, I get a pittance." Rose sat down on the bench, unlaced her old sneakers, and rolled her stretch pants up her calves. "My feet are ugly. A shade of beauty to God. I'll touch, and your true beauty will come." Rose removed her sneakers, allowing first her right foot to fall into the cradling hands of the Feet Lady. "See, there, all blotchy, and I don't know how the black got in them toenails." The Feet Lady gently rubbed Rose's foot between her hand, warming it with careful pressure and loving strokes. She did not mind the odor. "Your feet have suffered," she said, "great pain, and long ago." Rose did not speak. She closed her eyes and let let the feet lady bathe her in warm water and wrap her in warm cloths. Sorry. The sensations the feet lady created traveled through her body and created a tiny tingling behind her eyes, such as she had never felt before. When it was over, the feet lady spoke. "What is your name, dear?" What's it to you?" "I want to say your name the next time we meet." "Well, it's Rose to you." "Rose, a beautiful flower name, like mine in my native language." "Shall we beautiful flowers meet again?" "It's an idea." Rose came often to the feet lady, and gradually she began to tell more and more about herself. She liked talking about her mother, who lived on another coast, and she liked talking about music. But it was hard to talk about the father who used to beat her older brothers and how they took it out on her in so many ways. It was hard to talk about the time her feet got burned, not least because she could not remember how it happened. It was also hard to talk about her first days on the streets, but it was hardest of all to talk about the future, about how life could be different from what it was now. Eventually, Rose said, "I think I could do decorating, interior decorating. I've got a knack." "That's a wonderful idea," the feet lady said, and continued her careful massage. The feet lady didn't see Rose for a few days after that, but before she could start to wonder, a man came to visit. He walked right up and stood over her as she sat on her bench smiling at the sky. He was skinny, wore tight jeans and a heavy metal t-shirt, and had long greasy hair. He introduced himself as the business manager for the working women of the town. "I know you, feet lady," he said. "My name is Hanami. Would you like me to wash your feet?" "Not today. I want you to get something straight. This time I'm going to be nice." The business manager paused to make sure he got his point across. "Most times I like what you do. The girls feel good, can stand longer. It's good for business, know what I mean? But other times you go too far, stick your nose in. What I mean is we got different ideas about what's good for them." The feet lady did not answer. "You listening, feet lady?" "I simply wash their feet," she said at last. "Damn right. So don't go putting funny ideas into nobody's head. You do your business, I do mine. I see more of this, and I'll have to come back." The next time Rose visited the feet lady, she sat on the bench with her lips shut tight and just murmured thanks when she left. She did not come again after that day. Years passed, and the feet lady continued to wash feet and listen to the stories of the women in the dirty and downtown. Then one day, a woman from the Department of Corrections made a special request. She said the government was trying new ways to help people rejoin the community after they had been punished in the prisons of the town. She wanted the feet lady to regularly wash the feet of one such person who would soon be released on probation. Without hesitation, the feet lady accepted, and the woman told her she could expect the first visit sometime soon. A few weeks later, the feet lady had just finished a cleansing when she sat down on the bench and saw standing in front of her a person she knew from many years before. It was the man who called himself the business manager, except now he was not skinny, he had short hair, and he wore a lumberman's plaid shirt. "Would you like me to wash your feet?" the feet lady asked. "I'm supposed to come regular," the man said. "Then let me prepare the water." Throughout the cleansing, the man did not speak, and he did not indicate that he had once in ages past ever met the feet lady. All he did was make a few grunts and show his discomfort with her way of handling his feet. When it was over, he left abruptly and without thanks. He came regularly according to the terms of his probation, and after some weeks, he said with a few words, "This is stupid," he said. "What would that be?" the feet lady asked. "You doing this for nothing." "Nothing but love," she said. "No living in that, feet lady. You paid by the government or some church. There are benefactors, so I can touch and cleanse and you feel a little better in your day. It's enough love to me." "Well, I don't get none of that, and I don't see you do either. My days are nothing to feel good about." "The days have names. What's yours?" Cameron. "Does it have a meaning?" the feet lady asked. "I don't know. I gotta go." "Will I see you next time, Cam?" "I suppose." Little by little, Cameron began to talk. He talked about the things he paid attention to, things that were easy, like how the hockey team of the town played the night before, or how the police were treating the people on the streets better than in old days. It was also easy to talk about the tasteless canned food he got with the vouchers they gave him, and it was easy to talk about the jobs he didn't get and the rats and moldy wallpaper in the hotel room where he lived. Soon after Cameron's first year on probation, he found he was talking about things he hadn't mentioned to anyone else since getting out of prison. He'd never told anyone about how they had hurt him in there, or how in the end he didn't really want to leave. He never told anyone about the way he lived before going to jail, or about the many different foster homes he was moved out of as a boy. And he never told anyone about the times he really wanted to burn down some of those homes, or the temptation he had to go out and make money the easy way again. He'd never even told anyone about his idea of opening a recycling depot in the dirty and downtown. But he told all these things and more to the feet lady. It wasn't long before Cameron's probation period finally ended. For him, visiting the feet lady had become a part of his normal life. He didn't want to say goodbye, but he felt it was time to move on. And besides, he was getting very busy with all the things he had to do in order to start up his new business. So he thanked the feet lady and smiled, and she smiled back the way she always did. Eventually, Cameron opened the recycling depot. It gave him a decent living because it was convenient for the many bag ladies and dumpster divers who scoured the town. Sometimes he saw a working girl stroll by, and the sight of her made him remember his old life. It also reminded him of about something hurtful that was pushing and pulling him in his dreams at night. It was hard for him to know exactly what it was, but the only thing he thought it might be good for him to do was to pay another visit to the feet lady. He took his usual place on the feet lady's bench and started to unlace his shoes. Right away, he began to talk. "I do remember you, feet lady, from before. I never mentioned it." "My name is Hanami," she said. "Would you like me to wash your feet?" "Of course, Hanami." "Sorry. My name means beautiful flower, and yours means not straight or individual." "Oh yeah? Kind of weird, eh? I just wanted to say I came here once, said some bad things." "That was long, long ago," the feet lady said. "I mean, I was bad, a real bad guy. Still am, I guess. I'm sorry, really. A shade of goodness to God. Here, let me touch." "Goodness? How can you say that? You know what I did?" The feet lady stroked Cameron's right foot. "No, I don't." "The probation officer didn't say nothing?" "Yes, she did. But you haven't told it yourself." Cameron remained quiet for some time before speaking. It was complicated. I might not have done nothing except for the pressure. She choked on her own vomit. It's no excuse, I know. What was her name? Crystal, the one I owed people. I was dealing. The suppliers wanted their money. I got it from selling, but a lot too from the girls. I made them produce, kept them in line. I watched the corners, their Johns, time, money, my investment. Okay, they could come to see you, rest of it. It was fine with me. But then a few of them started acting funny and, well, just not making it. I had a rule, half an hour per customer, no more. I could be flexible a little longer if the money was okay. But other than that, that was the rule. So some started breaking it a bit, getting out of hand. I guess I slapped them around a bit, but it didn't work. Then I hid their drugs. That worked better. But not all of them were hopped up. The younger ones anyhow. I always got them hooked early. Made life easier. Christ. Life. My goddamn life. Cameron began to breathe heavily. He bent forward and ran his fingers through his hair. The feet lady laid his right foot down, then picked up his left. You know, I'm not proud. You know, I want to do better. I told you before I meant it. She just started, I don't know what got into her. God damn. Who? Crystal. She started taking a long time. With John's, I mean. 45, an hour longer. She was way below quota. But she was young and pretty, so I tried to be nice. Tried to ask her to tell me why. Some of them wanted to talk, she said. They didn't just want service. They had stuff on their minds, and she let them go on and on. Talk. A bunch of talk wasn't going to make the suppliers and me happy. She listened. She listened for nothing. That's what I thought then. So I hit her, and then I acted sorry. Told her I'd make her feel better, and had some stuff she could take. I thought it was good. I thought it was pure, but it was too strong. I don't know. And now Cameron was bent over, his face in his hands, and he was sobbing. She died, said the feet lady. Yes. She died, and you loved her. Loved her? God, no. It's crazy, a crazy thing to say. What? Who would say that? I used her like trash, and I killed her. It was my fault. That's a fact. And I'm so sorry. You did love, and you love, and you do love, and you will love, and that's why you cry now. You cry for Crystal, a life that could have been, and for yourself, a life that can. Crystal. Yes, Crystal. A name, a beautiful name. So clear and hard and brilliant. Yeah, she called herself Crystal. Cameron's sobbing slowed. He took deep breaths and wiped his eyes. He looked up at the feet lady, who smiled. She had another name, her own, she said. Yes, she did. It was Rose. And it was not Crystal, but Rose, a beautiful flower. It is Rose you mourn for.
Thank you.
Thank you.